Bert, 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 Bert! Get him, yeah! Ron Babe was right. Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry. Okay, I would not skip this intro because the intro is kind of like the show. Seriously. I think I got some stuff I want to talk to you about, but I'm going to no, you know what? Maybe that's not a good idea. Let's just run it down. Let's thank everybody who joins through Patreon for the Hunting Dog Podcast. They are my oldest sponsor. Patreon. You get Zoom room links about every 3 weeks. We have a great party. We sit and drink and talk and smoke cigars or whatever you smoke. We don't care. And we talk dogs. And on top of that, you get discounts to a lot of our sponsor stuff. Anything that does have a discount code, you guys get a better discount code than the general listenership. So there. Now, that was my oldest sponsor. My title sponsor, On X, they make everything we do, what would I say? Not easy. You still got to get out and walk, but it sure makes it easier to know where you are, know where to go, mark a pin, go back there, share it with a friend, research, do your habitat research before you go somewhere. I mean, it's the number one tool for exploring this country. I don't care if you have a rod, a gun, or a canoe paddle in your hands. Doesn't matter. Onyx Maps will get you there and get you back home. Pike Gear will get you there and get you back home with the most comfortable and most technical line of upland clothing that's ever existed. In fact, I don't think we should say upland clothing anymore or technical clothing for the upland hunter. We should just say cool stuff to wear, the right temperature, the right feel, the right fabric, the right size, the right, like, Brent likes to be comfortable. Who doesn't? Who wants one piece of their gear that, like, his shirt's too tight, my pants too tight? No. Everything from Pike Gear is made to go on a trip. Everything. Everything from, Bosch shot shells. Listen, if you want to skip, don't skip. I'm telling you, don't skip. If you want to learn what it took to put Bosch shot shells on the map, the history of Bosch shot shells, he was just on Matt Rinella's podcast called Hunt Quietly. I don't know if you ever heard of it before. I know Matt was on my podcast a while back. I think that was actually before he launched his podcast. I'm not quite sure. Can't remember. That would have been like a year and a half ago. But, yeah, Hunt Quietly. He got on the conference call, I guess, or a Zoom call with Brandon Saricki of Boss Shot Shells. And I was like, wow, I've heard Brandon on people's episodes for 3 years, right? I never heard this great of an explanation of how he makes the shells, how he got there. It's a pretty cool story. So you want to really get into the Boss shot shell world? Listen to Matt Rinella's Hunt Quietly podcast from this week. It was very informative. I liked it. Waltons came through. They always come through because they have what's the saying? Everything but the meat, right? But this weekend, my wife's sister came up from Chicago with her husband, son, daughter-in-law, one baby. We had our kids came over, big old party, and she was supposed to bring over marinated chicken thighs. And Sue, my wife, was going to cook them on a Traeger grill. So she brought them up. They were refrigerated. They were good. They were tasty. Well, no, I can't say they were refrigerated. They weren't marinated. So Sue trots over to the pantry, picks out a couple of her favorite Walton's rubs, and everybody was just dying how good it was. And I give the credit to my wife because she does all the cooking. She really does. A lot of guys say, like, well, my wife does all the cooking, but I do all the barbecuing. No, my wife does all the cooking, period. She doesn't trust me with valuable meat. So thank you to Waltons for everything they give us, and from food sealers to vacuum sealers to dehydrators to you name it. You got to get the catalog. I don't know. I'm sure by now you've heard me talk about it enough, so I'll quit. I'll quit. I'll start talking about Gunner Kennels. Why not? Blah, 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 blah. Gunner Kennels, they just came out with the bumper, right? Did you see that on Instagram? I put up a post on Instagram. Quite the bumper, let me tell you that. And it sits up on the water really nice. Used it out on a pond the other day. Not that Zuka would go in the pond to swim, but Zuka's sister across the street has no issues with it. So I think there's hope for her. And maybe that Gunner bumper will be the secret to it. It just sits up there and says, come get me. It really does. And they love it. Dogs love it. They like the texture. It's got the right weight. It's got everything. Well, like everything Gunner makes, they over-engineer and over-deliver. Yeah, for everything they do. Like Garmin, everything they make is, I don't know. This watch of mine, they sent me that Solar 2. Besides the little flashlight, which is like the coolest little thing in the world, to get up in the middle of the night, the room's dark, click, click, you hit the control button twice, and boom, you got this spotlight coming off your wrist like Spider-Man's web. I mean, who thinks of that? Garmin does, because they think of everything that we need to put around our dogs' necks and our wrists to make life a little easier. We do. You can get all this stuff from W Hunting Supply. Anything I'm talking about from Garmin, you can go to W Hunting Supply, and you'll deal with people who understand you because they are you. And that's a lot more important than just going to some website where you don't know anybody. You just hit pay out, I think so. I cannot wait to show you guys and girls my four-wheel camper Model M. I'm heading out on the, where is it? Where's my calendar? I always get the date wrong. September 5th. Yep. September 5th, I head to Sacramento, California. September 8th, I'll be at the shop in Sacramento having them install it. And this is off the grid, off the charts. Let me tell you, there's a lot of things that have sponsored this podcast, and they make you go like, yeah, I need that. No, I can wait till next year. You're going to have a problem once you start seeing all the stuff I'm doing, this Model M camper from Four-Wheel Camper. You're just going to die. And before I go, Mossberg is going to fill it full of guns. Well, not it. I'm going to get a little gun vault that's going to go in the back seat. I'm actually going to take the seats out of my Dodge. I'm going to get a little gun vault because I've changed everything up in the truck to get the four-wheel camper Model M put on my truck. It doesn't go in my truck. It goes on my truck. Get to save your tailgate. So Mossberg's going to fill up the back seat. Four-wheel camper's going to fill up the bed. Purina Pro Plan's going to fill up my dog's bellies like they've been filling it up for, I don't know, let's just say 30 years. I always jump around with that, but hell, at my age, 30, 65, I'm 60. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Purina Pro Plan. I have been feeding it since they've been making it. How's that? They even used to have this. Man, I wish they'd bring that back. They used to sell this. Literally, they had a food container. No offense, Gunner. Now, it was not mouse-proof because mice could eat the top edge of it, but they lasted for years. And they used to sell Purina Pro Plan in these, 40-gallon, not 40-gallon, 40, like it fit. Yeah, I know the dog food bags. They take a quarter-pound off every year, and you're not supposed to notice. But I think it was a 41-pound bag back in the day in the 80s, and it would fill this container. You bought it in the container, sealed up, like you'd get kitty litter sealed up. In fact, it looks identical to a Tidy Cat kitty litter box, only it was bigger. Held your food. It was like every time you bought a bag of food, you had another bucket. I wish they'd bring them back. But you know what? I guess if they don't bring them back, we can still thank them for all the years. And I just went down to the VIP tour at Purina. I'm going to have Pat Burns on. Who'd you say? Pat Burns? I'm going to have Pat Burns on. He is a Labrador fella extraordinaire. He's about my age. He's been in the game forever. And we just hit it off, and we're going to be doing a lot of different stuff together. No, I'm not buying a Labrador. But you're going to hear a lot more lab talk on here. We're not going to inundate you with it, but Pat is a great guy, a great trainer, and we're going to kind of go over what we did down at Purina, what we learned, and what we've learned from dogs over the years. So I got so many good guests coming out of that deal. I do. And Canine Athlete from Wilderness Athlete is I did not realize how much, all right, put it this way. Well, no, that's not the right way to put it. Just try to get some new dog. If your dog's getting old, get some new dog. If your dog needs anything in the stomach department, any kind of probiotic, you get the Canine Pro. But everybody, I don't care unless it's so perfectly cool out that your dog doesn't burn any calories and any extra water while he's out hunting, which is impossible for a dog to do. You've got to get some Hydrate and Recover. Hydrate and Recover, you put it in their water, and you know you're taking that step. You know that dog's not going to crash. You know you're doing just that little something extra for your dog. You will. And so here's the deal. See, nobody knows when to see. If you skipped, you wouldn't have heard all that blithering, blabbering, nonsense of mine, to do my commercials. But here's the deal. Matt is my editor. Matt is the editor that we use to build the Upland Institute. And the man is an editorial genius. Now, I don't know if that's an actual phrase when you're a video editor, that you're an editorial genius, but his editing is genius. And I actually went out to Bozeman last Saturday, and to go out, I got to see Yanni and Corinne, and I actually went out to a NAVDA test of all things. Even though I don't judge for them, I pulled up to a NAVDA test that just happened to be down the road in Whitehall. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. Dennis, you're listening. Dennis is an apprentice judge, and he asked me if I was going to be out there, and I said, where? And he goes, well, you're going to be in Bozeman. So, you know what? Took the rental car, and I went out to Whitehall, Montana. But I got there after the test. The test was wrapped up, but the beer wasn't. And we sat around, and we talked with some old judge buddies of mine, Chris Hall and Jerry Gertzinger, yeah, and another Chris that I hadn't met before. But, at least they might, NAVDA might be woke, but they still got some good judges. Anyway, that's what I was doing. I went out there, paddled around, and I went up to Yanni's house on Sunday and saw his place in the mountains, and we yacked about behind the dog. And that's what this kind of episode is about, what we're trying to do. To make something of high quality editing, and nothing against but everything against the people who put stuff out. People love watching content. I mean, that is absolutely, I'm even guilty. I'll go down YouTube rabbit holes. I'll be sitting out here, and something pops up in a feed, or I want to look it up, and all of a sudden a little thing comes up on the right. You might also like this, and then all of a sudden, I can understand why so many people are watching stuff on YouTube, right? Some of it's long, some of it's short, some of them are movies. Well, anyway, Matt and I, we just didn't have enough, of this adventure after we did the Upland Institute. Matt wanted to literally do it. It took him about 6 months. I mean, it was done through his editing company. So he had to squeeze it in with other jobs, but he was pretty much dedicated to this. He would have to come all the way out to Justin's place with his monitor and his hard drives, and then we had to do, voiceover stuff, and then we had to reshoot stuff. It was a process. And Matt just made it. When you watch the Upland Institute, if you're a member, a person who's done that, and got the series, you're like, if nothing else, you're going to walk away like, damn, did they do a nice job on that? I still don't know how to train my dog because I'm a dummy, and I don't follow through with everything Justin says, but, boy, I don't mind watching that. It's like watching a fine movie. Anyway, so Matt, he's like, I'd like to keep doing some more stuff in the dog world. Well, we didn't have anything else we could add to Upland Institute. Unless we wanted to get into, the flushing dog world. And Justin could do that. He does do flushing dog work, but it's not what he's known for. He's known for his pointing dog work. So, lo and behold, Matt and I started knocking our heads together. We started filming my buddy Trent's poodle pointer, and that just came out on BehindTheDogFilms.com, and that's called Whiskey's Water. And not all dogs go right in the water. Even great water dogs don't just walk in there like they've been in the end zone all the time. Some do. About half of mine have. The other half definitely have not. So we started filming that over a year ago, almost 2 years ago. And Matt put that together in his spare time. And then we decided to go full-blown, let's say, okay, we're gonna form an LLC. It's called Behind the Dog Films. And we're going to see if we can't make this into a series, into a show, into maybe not on the Sportsman's Channel or Nat Geo. So we decided to put this together and try to sell it on a Vimeo platform, right? Well, that's all fine and dandy, but I think the time has come to expand, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to keep the program like we have it. When we have a new episode of Behind the Dog, like the one that's going to come out the end of August with Cam Rice and her Weimaraner breeding, like that one's going to come out for sale, okay? Just like shows come out, like Travis Frank's The Flush, you don't get to see it on YouTube till it's already been paid for, right? Through other airings, right? But our old episodes of Behind the Dog are going to come out on YouTube, okay? Now, that's still a little, I shouldn't say it's live, but there is no Behind the Dogs yet that are old enough to go into it. But so last year in North Dakota, a couple of my oldest buddy in the world, Rusty Wolf, the Roof, we call him, the Roof. And Bill, now Scott wasn't on camera, but Bill, one of my buddies I made in Virginia, my brother William McPhail, we call him Fence Line McPhail, because without a dog, we always put him on the fence line. And then we had Trent and Heather Hardy out there. So Matt brought all of his stuff, and this time he brought boom mics, because we didn't have lav mics, which lav are the little ones that have a battery pack in your pocket and, clip on your collar. So got the whole front room set up, and we decided to do a podcast, and it's called Hunting Motherfuckers. And that was going to be the title of it. But we never released it as a podcast. Now, we had podcasts with Trent and Heather. We talked about the hunt. But this one was an early idea. Matt said, he goes, let me film this thing and see what we can do with it. So we're gonna break this up into little 5, 7, 10-minute segments, or basically the first day of hunting, which is the recap, and then as it goes along, in day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, we were carrying cameras around with us. Some of them were shot on cell phones, some of them were shot on our regular production cameras, and Matt overlays just like he did in Behind the Dog films. He overlays the podcast with stuff to watch. And now because that didn't really fit under, well, especially the name, Hunting Motherfuckers, really. I mean, you never hear me say that word on the podcast, but that's what we named this. So HMF, if you go to the Hunting Dog Podcast channel at YouTube, and I'm really asking you this because I've never pushed anybody to my YouTube channel. My daughter she puts up the episodes. We've got a few pieces of things we've done in the past. I don't think I've got, 600 subscribers maybe, I think. But I've never tried to monetize it. But this may be the way that Behind a Dog gets more traction. But we're going to start off with our first, I'm not going to say only episode of HMF, because the same crew is going back next year, and we've got some more plans for HMF down the road, because all you guys and girls are HMFers. I know that. But if you go to my YouTube channel, the Hunting Dog Pod, you could Google Ron Boehm, I think, YouTube. But no, go to Hunting Dog Podcast on YouTube and watch. You'll get a flavor. It's the first 7 minutes are not the best. They're okay. They're fun because you get to see everybody. and there's a little video overlay as we're talking, but it gets better. Every week we're going to throw out a little chunk. But what I'm asking you to do is go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. That's what I'm asking you to do. It's 7 minutes long. You'll enjoy it. It's not bad, but you'll get a flavor for what we're doing. And even, it's not, like I said, it's not, the behind the dog is even a little, it's way more professional. Well, that's because we were just HMFers, and of course we didn't have to be professional. But this is a place where we are going to start putting content up, and then old episodes, we'll chop them up in pieces, use it for content. But we want to see if this is worth doing it for behind the dog. So we're doing it with HMF, okay? So please go to no, don't go to HMF. You won't find it. Go to the Hunting Dog Podcast YouTube channel. Click on subscribe. Watch it. Please put in a comment. I don't care if it's a bad comment. You could say whatever you want. We look like an orange sale for, well, Bill and I look like we were advertising for my sponsor, Pike Gear, which we kind of were, because Bill buys his stuff from there, and I obviously get it for free. Rusty's sitting there in green. But you'll kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing. This is just, I'm retired now, right? As my buddy Rufus says, he goes, I ain't doing dick today. And when I go to North Dakota this year, I ain't even hunting. That's what he says, but he'll hunt. But I could just do a whole lot of things that I never could do before. Now, the camper's going to even make it better because I can go on the road with the camera. I sleep right in the truck. This thing is off-the-grid, solar-paneled, toilet, you name it, man. I'm going to do more remote podcasts with this unit, but the camera's coming along from now on. Not a head cam. No. I don't want you to think you're going to. I don't. How do I put it? What's the right way to say it? I don't even know what the right way to say it is. I'm just saying you're going to be seeing a lot more stuff, and every time we film some, it's going to go on YouTube if it's worthy of it. If Matt has the time to edit it, put some sound to it, put some music to it, then you're going to see a whole lot of content coming down the road on my YouTube channel, The Hunting Dog Podcast. So there, yeah. So I told you I was in Montana. I'm getting wrist surgery tomorrow morning. Wish me well. Thank you, and thank you too. And I will be back in the saddle. I'll be recording a couple podcasts this week, and I'll be heading to Wisconsin. We're going to do another Behind the Dog series on with a Griffin breeder that I know. Some real in-depth stuff on puppies and breeding and how they, all these breeders throw so much. Not all of them. I mean, when I was a breeder, I had good, healthy dogs, but calling me a really good breeder would be a stretch of the imagination. But the breeders that I find around the country are the ones that are putting the most back into the breed. So, yeah, this Friday, I take off for Wisconsin to do that. I back Saturday night. Then I got to go down to Fort Wayne. And then, it's going to be sneaking up on Labor Day. And then Labor Day, we have a little party Labor Day. And boom, I'm on the road in September. I'm telling you what, I'm going to have a beer right now. I'm not supposed to have anything to eat or drink after 10 o'clock. So I'm looking at my watch. It's 9:03. And son of a gun, I got 57 minutes. I'm going to get a couple of beers down. Look for a couple podcasts coming out this week, at least one this week, another one on the weekend, and probably another one midweek next week. And just remember what I asked you to do. I'm not begging. I'm just saying I want to see if we can keep putting together some really good content for people to view and enjoy. Some of it being silly and a lot of it being educational. Okay? And I've got a vision in sight, and it's hard to tell you what it isn't. When it's in my head, believe me, it's a hard vision to see it. I can see it. I just close my eyes and go, yeah, there it is. But I think you're going to really like what's coming up the second half of this year on the Hunting Dog Podcast and its YouTube channel. So I've got some great, boy. Anyway, you guys have a great night. See, I said guys. Now, is that okay to just say guys? Because there's a couple people that still told me, like, I hate it when you say, I love you guys, I love you girls more. Well, it's just something I say. It doesn't mean doesn't mean I love guys or girls more than I like people on an individual basis. When I meet a good person, that's what you meet in hunting. That's what I met down at the Purina VIP tour. I just met good people, experienced dog people. Oh my God, it was like, I guess if you were like a history professor and you went to some conference for history professors, right? You'd all be blah, 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 blah. 1492, they sailed the ocean blue. So anyway, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get a couple beers. Now I'm down to 56 minutes. So, wish me luck. I'm a little nervous. If you can't, I think that's why I started yammering on. I'm a little nervous about this wrist surgery. I want it to be successful without the wrist replacement. So I'm hoping that I made the right decision. I really do. Oh, and also, this was weird too. I had a metal sliver embedded in my ring finger knuckle since 1990. Yeah, since 1995. And I never had it taken out. It stayed in there. And there was always a lump on my finger, right just below my knuckle, right where your finger bends. And when they did the MRI on my wrist, this is a few weeks ago to get me ready for surgery and to tell me how much stuff was damaged in there, I told them about it, and they said, oh, it'll be all right. And then they put it on the surgery list that they'll remove. They said, remove foreign object, right ring finger, right? Well, lo and behold, this thing, when I went through the MRI, it pulled that piece of metal up toward the skin and then started its own little festering mess. And the other day, I literally pushed on the back of it, and just like a splinter, I had a toenail clipper laying on the desk here. Not that I clipped my toenails. It just happened to be on here. I was emptying out some of my backpack for flying. And knowing that it was metal, knowing it's been in there forever, I clicked onto that I pulled that out, and it was, I'm not telling you it was 3/8 of an inch long, but it was 5/16 of an inch long. And it is solid metal. I mean, I can knock on it. It's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's happening. I'll talk to you guys soon. I love you all. I love you people. I love the world. We are the world.